of Certified Public Accountants, PICPA Laguna and Occidental Mindoro chapters, we extend our warmest greetings to each and every one of you. Before anything else, please listen on the following. Links to the presentation materials and other concerns can be accessed at the centralized portal by clicking the bit.ly link as shown on the screen. You can click the same link at the chat box, which will be posted later. The centralized portal has 5 buttons, which directs you to the following links. Button number 1 directs you to the copy of the presentation materials of the resource person, which is now available. Button number 2 directs you to the page where you can post your questions if the link is available. Button number 3 enables you to view questions. Button number 4 directs you to the page where you can accomplish and submit your Google evaluation. And lastly, button number 5 directs you to the verification list where you can confirm if your submission of the Google evaluation has been duly recorded by our system. Please bear with us if we keep on reminding you of this, as we want to ensure that you easily comply with the conditions for earning a certificate of attendance. After this webinar, you will be entitled to earn 1.5 CPD units, which is under self-directed learning or SDL modality, and is therefore subject to the approval of the PRC CPD Council. You will earn a certificate of attendance only if you have complied with the following 5 conditions. 1, registration through GlueUp. 2, attendance upon joining Zoom. 3, participation during poll. 4, maintain your video open during the entire webinar. And 5, evaluation. Please remember, non-compliance of the mentioned conditions will mean no certificate of attendance. To conduct our webinar in an orderly manner, please observe the following webinar etiquette. Refrain from using the chat box with other non-essential comments and pleasantries while the webinar is ongoing. You are not allowed to publicly share copies of the materials unless permitted by the resource person. Raise your questions through the chat box button. We will flash the questions on the screen during the Q&A portion. Questions will be asked based on the availability of the time. And lastly, refrain from posting advertisements of products and services without prior approval from the organizers. So to make sure that everyone will get used in participating during polls, we will now be launching the first poll question. You have 1 minute to click on the options. Please be reminded that you must participate in the poll, as it is one of the conditions in earning a certificate of attendance. Non-participation means no certificate. You could submit your answer within 1 minute. And what time? How many more seconds we have?
5 seconds.
Okay, then. Thank you, Ms. Marianne. All right, so we have here in the room 75% happy, 21% inspired, 2% amused, and 1% for don't care and annoyed. And we still have 0. Okay, so we don't have angry people here or angry birds here in the room. Okay, thank you very much for actively participated in the first poll question. Now kindly raise your right hand and together let us recite the oath of CPAs. As a certified public accountant, I shall comply with the following principles of my profession. I shall be straightforward and honest in all my professional and business relationships. I shall not allow bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others to override my professional or business judgment. I shall maintain professional knowledge and skill at the level required to ensure that my client or employer receive competent professional services based on current developments in practice, legislation, and techniques. I shall act diligently and in accordance with applicable technical and professional standards. I shall respect the confidentiality of information acquired as a result of my professional and business relationship. I shall not disclose any such information to third parties without proper and specific authority, unless there is a legal or professional right or duty to disclose. I shall not use information for my personal advantage or those of third parties. I shall actively lead, participate, and promote the programs and activities of my professional organization. I shall comply with relevant laws and regulations, and I shall avoid any action that will discredit the profession of accountancy in the Philippines. I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Okay, thank you very much. We may now call on the President of Erie UPLB chapter, Ms. Marife Sarmiento, to officially welcome everyone. On behalf of Ms. Sandy Giosi of Occidental Mindoro.
Thank you, Ms. Rodora. So on behalf of PICPA Laguna and PICPA Oriental and Occidental Mindoro, I welcome all attendees and resource speakers who will be introduced later to this webinar. So I welcome everyone to this webinar, Understanding Mission Orders for Surveillance, Sales Monitoring, and Stock Taking. This is an initiative of BIR RDO number 57, West Laguna, and of course, in collaboration with the mentioned very industrious PICPA chapters. As always, Laguna, laging una. Mabuhay and enjoy the afternoon. Take it back, Ms. Rhoda.
Thank you, Ma'am Marife, for that warm welcome. So at this point, let us hear from the Revenue District Officer of RDO number 57, West Laguna, for his message, Mr. Miguel B. Morada Jr.
Good afternoon po. Malinaw po ba? Hello? Mahina po? Mahilinaw? Narinig po?
Malinaw naman po, sir, kayo. Malinaw naman po.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Naririnig po namin kayo, sir. Yes, sir, Miguel.
Mahina po ba? Mahina?
Oh, okay lang po, sir.
To the President of PICPA, Hironima Lapus, to the officers, members, participants, and audience of our today's briefing about understanding the BIR mission order. Everyone knows BIR to collect for the building, uplift the Filipino, the said incumbent sure that our set forth by prevailing issuances by conducting enforcement activities such as but not limited to the TCBD, taxing, and to make sure that they are paying is some taxpayers some complain from the businessman or to the other tax resibo despite of the demand hindi pa rin inisyuhan. So we definitely issue a mission order to validate the the complaint. And some, the purpose is yung pag halimbawa ay same industry, yung isang industry ay malaki ang declaration, yung isa may maliit, or kung hindi, from previous year, mataas, this year, bumaba. Pag walang pandemic, ha? So, usually, issue po ng ano yan, mission order para mga purpose ng mission order. So, marami po pong dahilan. So, with the help of our to this speak, the group of Dainali Herrera, I fervently hope that all of us would get a better appreciation and understanding what is the mission orders for. So, without further ado, I am turning back the spot to our for the program proper. I am our team. Pagbabayad ng buwis sa bayan, tatak ng kabalinihan. Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Sir Mike, for that message. So we hope you can still, meet the goal this month. Anyway, so to continue with our program, please welcome on the virtual stage our resource speakers, Revenue Officer Jonilon Alidio and Ma'am Grace, Group Supervisor Grace Manuban. Ma'am Grace?
Good afternoon. Hello. Hello,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello po. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the participants. So, on behalf of our RDO and our RDO, and of course, my group supervisor, Ma'am Grace Manggubat. So, welcome po sa ating seminar regarding understanding the mission orders for surveillance, stock taking, and sales monitoring. So, para lang po malesen po namin yung mga technical problems since tayo po ay live via Zoom. So I have already prepared a 1-hour presentation regarding the seminar. So I invite everyone to please sit back, relax, and enjoy listening to the seminar. Thank you po. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, participants. I am your speaker, Mr. Johnny Lones Alidio, Revenue Officer, under Group Supervisor Grace and Manggubat. Today, we will be discussing our seminar entitled Understanding Mission Orders for Surveillance, Sales Monitoring, and Stock Taking. Pero bago natin umpisahan ang discussion regarding kung ano ba yung surveillance, sales monitoring, and stock taking, kailangan malaman muna natin ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng isang mission order or what is a mission order. So based sa aking research, wala namang specific definition yung mission order. So kumbaga sa amin sa BIR, so nag-i-issue lang kami nito to conduct a specific activity sa premise ng taxpayer. Kasi 'di ba pag sinabi natin, kasi 'di ba ang BIR meron siyang mission. So yung mission ng BIR is, our mission is to we collect taxes through just enforcement of tax laws for nation building and in the upliftment of the lives of Filipinos. So kumbaga itong mission order, ang purpose kasi nito is para maging aware lang si taxpayer na meron kaming ganitong klase ng enforcement activity to increase their compliance. So, di ba bukod sa ating self-assessment na itinapay regularly sa BIR, so, nagkakaroon din kami ng mga drive to increase compliance para sa mga taxpayers. Kasi itong mission order kasi, kumbaga parang ito, kaya nga mission order, parang ito yung kautusan sa amin. And ang chine-check namin dito is yung kung tama ba yung nade-declare ni taxpayer na sales, kasi generally sales ang chine-check namin dito sa mga enforcement activity na to, yung surveillance, sales monitoring, and stock taking. So yon, so kagaya nitong sa sales monitoring, so chine-check namin yung tama ba yung nade-declare ni taxpayer na sales, kasi nga di ba pag sales monitoring ang chine-check namin dito yung mga machine na ginagamit pagre-record nila.
Hello,
using
Mama
POS,
Request.
mga
Hello,
scenarios. So,
hello, sir.
kumbaga, in general, itong mission order is,
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Pakilakasan daw po yung volume, sir. Marami pong request. And then, yung background music daw po, kasi parang may background music yung presentation niyo po. So,
Apo.
pwede daw po paki-increase yung volume. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ano man, ano yun? Oo. Kinakandak namin itong enforcement activity na to to check lang kung tama yung nade-declare na sales ni taxpayer. Pwede kasi ma-detect dito kung may fraud or error. Kapag sinabi natin error, pwedeng intentional or unintentional. So, yun lang naman yung chinecheck namin dito. So, yun. And ito naman po yung itsura ng mission order.
Ma'am
So,
Rodora,
mission
parang wala
order,
pa rin
ito ay
po.
naka-address sa revenue officer.
Excuse me?
Parang wala pa rin po. Wala po kaming naririnig.
Ay, sir, wala daw po silang naririnig, sir. Mahina daw po yung volume ninyo.
Siguro dahil lang po dun sa
The background.
background, yes ma'am.
Opo.
Pero meron naman, malinaw naman po sa amin, sa mga
So,
katrabaho
kanina,
ko.
mostly po sa participants natin, nagre-request po na nakasan daw po yung volume. Thank
Okay,
you.
ma'am. Well, I'll try, ma'am.
Sir, siguro pwede nilang i-remove yung mask. Baka may effect.
Ito nga yung mask.
Opo, opo.
Ano ma'am yan, recorded po yung audio.
Recorded yung audio.
Recorded na po. Recorded na po siya, ma'am. Apo.
So lalakasan na lang talaga yung volume.
Lakasan na lang po yung
Yes,
volume.
speaker na lang siguro, sir, para marinig. Kasi interesting po yung topic natin. So we have 207 participants po.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you po. Apo. Group supervisor na naka-assign para sa ikakandak na enforcement activity. And nakalagay dito na yung gagawing mission order is pursuant to the provision of Section 6C of the Tax Code as amended. And nakalagay din dito kung sino yung taxpayer na pupuntahan namin. Nakalagay yung name ng taxpayer and yung address. And then meron din pong 4 na checklist dito kung ano yung specific na gagawin namin. Pwedeng yung number 1, yung sales monitoring, number 2, stock taking, or number 3, to apprehend of violators of the revenue laws and regulation governing activities mentioned in the preceding paragraph 1 and 2, or others. And sinasabi dito that kakandak namin yung activity with utmost courtesy in recognition of the taxpayers' rights and within the tenets of good public service. And a report herein must be submitted within so may duration kung ilang araw after the end of the conduct of the above activity, and this order covers the period from blank to blank and shall be effective unless specifically revoked. So nakalagay din yung duration ng kakandak na activity, and this is signed, and this should be signed by either the regional director or the assistant commissioner. While taxpayer education and tax information campaigns have done much to increase taxpayer awareness, the role of enforcement in enhancing revenues and promoting greater voluntary compliance is of equal significance in effective tax.
Hello po. Ayan po. So since ang dami po ng may sabi na medyo mahina yung volume namin, magla-live po kami ng presentation while rendering po yung walang background music. Ano po? Okay po ba tayo doon?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes
Thank
po. Ano
you.
po? So share din tayo ng regular natin na slides, Pepe, para po mag-start muna ulit tayo while rendering yung ni-record kasi namin ma'am para hindi nga magkaroon ng medyo technicalities kasi nga medyo mahaba itong covered ng mission order natin. Pero since ang atin pong 205 audience ay hindi po bumibitaw sa atin, tayo po ay mag-live na discussion. Ano po? Bebe,
Thank you po.
share screen ako ng ating regular na slide. Much better po ang live. Ayan, mas gusto daw nila na live po tayo. Ano? Ayan, Bebe.
Hello, hello. Hello everyone. Pasensya na po sa akala ko po kasi malelesin natin yung mga technical difficulties pagka po live. So sige, magla-live discussion na lang po ako habang nire-render po yung recorded video na walang background music. So pasensya na po. So yun po. So to continue the presentation, so yung kinakandak naming mission order is aside from do sa ma-increase namin yung voluntary compliance sa taxpayer pertaining dun nga sa pagbabayad ng kanilang taxes. So itong kinakandak naming mission order is part of the BIR's operational key performance indicator pursuant to the provision of RMO number 25-2022. So ang RMO number 25-2022 is entitled BIR Operational Key Performance Indicators for the Revenue Regions, Large Taxpayer Service, and Revenue District Offices. So this was released last March 11, 2022. So and then ito naman yung screenshot patungkol dun sa Key Performance Indicator namin or yung KPI. So ito yung mga enforcement activity namin, yung objective number 4, yung improve assistance and enforcement process. So ito yung tatlong enforcement activity na usual namin na kinakandak, yung rate cases, Oplan Candado, and audit effort. So yung ating pag-uusapan dito is parang under siya nitong yung ang project namin ng Oplan Candado. So yung sa pag-uusapan natin, ano ba yung mga revenue issuance na involved patungkol sa mission orders sa surveillance, stock taking, and sales monitoring. So sa surveillance and stock taking, so may consolidated na RMO, yung RMO 3-2009 para sa sa surveillance and stock taking. And for stock taking, and may bukod po na RMO, yung RMO 3-2003. And for sales monitoring, we have two revenue issuances, yung RMO 15-2018 and RMC number 72-2018. So yun nga, with this enforcement activity, so parang isa sa mga objective nga po nito is mapa-increase yung compliance si taxpayer. And upon conduct of these mission orders, maaaring may makita kami ng mga non-compliant taxpayer. So ano ba ang definition ng non-compliant taxpayer? So a non-compliant taxpayer is defined as a taxpayer who, as a result of surveillance, stock-taking activities, has been found to have committed the violations enumerated in Item 1, Section 4 of RMO 3-2009, and who, notwithstanding the issuance of several notices of violations, continues to refuse to comply with the requirements provided under existing rules and regulation. So kumbaga, may findings na kami, and yet this non-compliant taxpayer continue to commit violations pursuant to Item 1 of Section 4 of RMO 3-2009. And please take note that yung kinakandak naming enforcement activity patungkol dito sa mission order is pursuant to the provision of Section 6C of the NIRC as amended, or yung power of the Commissioner to make assessments and prescribe additional requirements for tax administration and enforcement. So next, let's proceed to the discussion of the mission order for surveillance. So sa surveillance po, so karamihan naman sa atin alam na to yung ginagawa namin sa surveillance. But based on our regulation, we have three types of surveillance. We have the covert surveillance, the overt surveillance, and the short duration surveillance. So ano bang pinagkaiba ng tatlo na to? So the covert surveillance, ibig sabihin ng covert surveillance lang nito is hindi, kumbaga nagkakandak kami ng surreptitious and undercover watch on the business operations of a person or taxpayer. Kumbaga hindi pa alam ni taxpayer na inoobserbahan na namin sila kung maaaring may potential or may possible na kinocommit na violation itong taxpayer na to. Let's say for example, nag-i-issue siya ng unregistered receipts, hindi register yung kanyang business. So lingid sa kaalaman ng iba, minsan yun nga nagte-test buy kami doon sa mga store na yun. Bago namin i-conduct yung proper surveillance proper or yung overt surveillance. So dito sa overt surveillance, aware na sa taxpayer na inoobserbahan namin siya, kaya overt. Yun nga, the type of surveillance which commences with the inventory taking of a business documents as mentioned in RMO 3-2009 of the person under surveillance, followed by the actual observation and close monitoring of the business activities of such person. And yung yung third types of surveillance, yung short duration surveillance, parang ibig sabihin lang ito kapag yung kakanta kami ng tax mapping or yung TCBD, yung tax compliance and verification drive. Ayan. So guidelines and procedures patungkol dun sa surveillance activities. So yun nga, gaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, basically mag-uumpisa yan sa covert surveillance or yung sa prelude to surveillance. So we acquire preliminary information on the person to be placed under surveillance. And kapag yun nga na pili namin tong taxpayer na to na possible na may ginagawang violation, we issue a mission order. And ang next step is conduct the surveillance proper, wherein the revenue officer authorized to conduct surveillance activities on business establishments for possible violation of section 113, 114, 236, 237, and 238 of the tax code. So during the surveillance proper, di ba, ini-issue namin yung mission order, and doon sa mission order na yon nakalagay kung sino yung authorized na revenue officer na magkakandak ng surveillance.
Nakamute ka, sir.
Sorry po. May lang po. So yung conduct of proper, yung surveillance proper, so dito sa mission order nga po is na excuse me. Minomonitor namin yung daily sales, pero doon sa mission order may duration lang kung gaano katagal yung pagkakandak namin surveillance. So usually 10 days to 30 days or maybe extended depende doon sa scope ng possible na violation ng taxpayer na yon. So, yun nga, every day kinukuha namin nire-record namin yung sales. So, every day may pumupunta at least na 2 revenue officer. And then kapag after nung conduct ng surveillance, ng actual surveillance, so the next step is we analyze the surveillance results. So, ang ginagawa namin dito, after namin makuha yung average daily sales, so aalamin namin yung paano pala kinukuha yung average daily sales. So yung total sales, total namin yung total sales during the surveillance divided by the total number of days under surveillance, so to get the average daily sales. And after that, we get the average quarterly sales. So ang computation niya, yung average daily sales times 30 days times 3 months equals the average quarterly sales. And after nun, yung action on the surveillance results, it could be either closure order or pwedeng mag-escalate sa issuance ng LOA or letter of authority. Now, so after the surveillance and may violation itong si taxpayer na to, so ano ba yung mga grounds for suspension or temporary closure of business. So we have 4. So first is the failure to issue receipts or invoices by a VAT registered or registrable taxpayer, or failure to file a VAT return or understatement of taxable sales or receipts by 30% or more of the correct amount thereof in case of a VAT registered or registrable taxpayer or failure to register. So dito naman sa confrontational requirements, siguro I think i-present ko yung aking naalintalang video para ho mas ma-explain kung ano ba yung nangyayari dito sa confrontational requirements. So please standby lang po. Wait lang po.
Ayan po, ano po. So habang binabalik po namin yung video ng presentation, i-discuss po muna natin tong confrontational requirements natin. So sabi nga po ni Johnny Lon kanina, mag-start tayo sa mission order. Kapag may na-derive tayo na violation sa mission order, either way na magsasarado tayo or mag-i-issue tayo ng letter of authority. Ano po? So as you can see kanina, may mission order tayo. Usually naman, ang BIR, we are conducting overt. Yung kita po natin, nagpapaalam kami sa inyo, isinaserve namin ang mission order sa inyo, at dinidiscuss namin sa inyo kung ano yung gagawin natin. Hindi pa po kami naka-encounter ng covert kasi usually ang covert ay ginagawa siya ng mga taga-Regional Investigation Division as to monitor kung hindi po nila nalalaman kung ano nangyayari. Ano po? Pero sa atin dito, usually, sa-serve kami, mission order, kung mag-surveillance kami, mag-stock taking, or magsi-CRMPOS post-evaluation, sinasabi po namin yun sa inyo, para po after din nung duration ng mission order, madidiscuss po namin kay taxpayer kung ano po ang na-evaluate namin na findings sa kanila. Kasi as mentioned po ni Juni kanina, meron tayong 4 na qualification kung kailan tayo nagkakaroon ng temporary closure of business. Kung dapat ay vatable ka na pero hindi ka nakapag-file, hindi ka nakapag-file ng VAT returns, hindi ka nag-issue ng resibo, at ano pa yung isa, bebe? Under declaration. 30% po na more than ng under declaration po sa atin ng sales. Sila po lahat ay subject po sa ating Oplan Candado, which is kasama po sa key performance indication ng bawat RDO po. So mini-measure din po ang performance ni BIR sa pamamagitan kung ano mga enforcement activities na ginagawa po namin sa ating sa enforcement activities po ng ating district. Ano po? At after nga po, sabi nga po ni Joni, after po nating ma-derive, issue tayo ng mission order, gagawin yung mission order, i-analyze yung mission order, after nun, saka tayo makakarating sa dulong procedure. At ito na po ulit si Joni.
Good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon participants. I am your speaker, Mr. Johnny Lon S. Alijo, Revenue Officer.
Ayan po, ano po. So live and alive po talaga tayo kaya may technical difficulties ulit kami. So i-discuss ko lang po ulit kahit wala pa tayong slides. Ito na may base lamang sa ating official na nangyayari sa atin. So ang mangyayari po kasi noon after naming ma-analyze yung surveillance, or stock taking natin, bibigyan po namin kayo ng chance kasi ipipresent po namin sa inyo kung anong naging findings natin. Magkakaroon po tayo ng 48-hour notice sa inyo. Ibig sabihin po, bibigyan kayo ng chance na to protest kung ano man yung naging findings sa BIR within 48 hours. Pero kung hindi pa rin po at nag-lapse yun, may another notice po tayo, which is the 5-day VAT compliance notice. Yung 5-day VAT compliance notice, just the same po. Bibigyan kayo ng chance na within 5 days, ma-rectify natin kung ano man po ang findings sa atin ni BIR. Maiprotest po natin ng maayos kung ano man yung naging result noon. And after which po, lahat po ito ay dumadaan sa Regional Evaluation Board bago namin ipa-receive sa inyo yung notice. So after po noon, saka lang po tayo magkakaroon ng closure order just in case po na hindi ma-protest yung findings po natin. Ano po? At nandito na po ang ating dire-diretsong presentation.
Office, the finding thereof in the case of a VAT registered or registrable taxpayer or failure to register. Consistent with the requirements of due process, the report of the handling revenue officer shall be concurred in by the head of the investigating office. The findings of the investigating office shall be reviewed by a review board composed of the following. For regional cases, the regional review board shall be composed of the following revenue officials. The chairman is the regional director. The members is the chief of the assessment division, chief of the legal division, and the RDO having jurisdiction over the taxpayer. For national office cases, the National Office Review Board shall be composed of the following revenue officials. So the chairman is the assistant commissioners or ASIR, ES, LTS, and the members are the representative of the Office of the Commissioner, the representative of the Office of the Deputy Commissioner, Legal and Inspection Group, and representative from the Office of the Deputy Commissioner for Operations Group, and the representative for legal or from the legal service. The Commissioner of Internal Revenue shall serve as the overall chairman of the Regional Office Review Boards and the National Office Review Board. So the review boards must act on reports within 5 days from the receipt thereof. The review boards shall convene upon initiative of the chairperson whenever necessary. If a report is approved by a review board, the concerned regional director or the ASIR, Enforcement Service or LTS, as the case may be, shall in his capacity as chair of the review board sign and issue to the taxpayer concerned a 48-hour notice requiring him to explain under oath within 48 hours why he should not be dealt with administrative charges by suspension of business or temporary closure of his establishment and or criminally for violation of pertinent provisions of the tax code. In cases concerning validated discrepancies in sales or purchases covered by a letter notices under the tax reconciliation system or a third-party information program, a letter notice and follow-up letters sent and duly received by the taxpayer shall be considered as sufficient compliance with the 48-hour notice. Upon the taxpayer's submission of the explanation, or if none is submitted on or before the deadline, the review board, headed by the regional director or the ASIR, Enforcement Service or LTS, shall decide whether or not to terminate the case or to pursue administrative or criminal action against the taxpayer as the case may be. If a review board deems it necessary to pursue administrative or criminal action against a non-compliant taxpayer, it shall cause the preparation of a 5-day VAT compliance notice or VCN, which shall be issued in lieu of the 10-day VCN to expedite the resolution of the case at hand. The 5-day VCN shall be signed by the chair of the review board concerned. The 5-day VCN with details of the findings of the investigating office as approved by the review board shall be served immediately to the taxpayer by the regional director or ASIR, LTS, ASIR Enforcement Service as the case may be. The 5-day VCN shall likewise state the particular provisions of the NIRC that was or were violated by the taxpayer and for which rectification must be done, including payment of the required deficiency taxes and penalties due therefore. And the taxpayer may again refute the findings of the BIR within 2 days from the receipt of the VCN and submit his response to the review board. And the review board shall in turn immediately transmit the taxpayer's response to the investigating office concerned for evaluation. And then the investigating office concerned shall within 3 days from the receipt thereof evaluate 5-day VCN and prepare the corresponding response thereto. The response letter shall then be signed by the chair of the review board. And last, upon the receipt by the BIR of the protest, the running of the 5-day compliance period is deemed suspended and shall resume only upon receipt by the taxpayer of the BIR resolution on the protest. And this is the 5-day VAT compliance notice as the Annex D of the RMO 3-2009. So sa guide na nabagin natin dito, in-issue natin to sa taxpayer stating their violation of a particular provision of the tax code, and then nilalagay din dito na kailangan nilang i-comply to within 5 days. Execution and enforcement. In the event that a taxpayer refuses, neglects, or fails to submit within the prescribed period a response to a VCN or submit a response that was later found to be insufficient, or refuses, neglects, or fails to comply with the terms of the 5-day VCN, the review board concerned shall prepare a memorandum report recommending the closure of the establishment for the approval of the commissioner. Said report shall include the proposed closure order supported by the necessary documentation for the approval and signature of the commissioner. So again, kapag hindi na-rectify ni taxpayer yung 5-day VCN, so may issuehan siya ng closure order. And take note that the closure order shall be prepared in quintuplicate or 5 copies to be distributed as follows. So yung original copy, taxpayer's copy, second copy is the Office of the Commissioner, third copy for the Office of the Regional Director or ASIR concerned, the fourth copy for Investigating Office, and the fifth copy is for the Investigating Officer or the receiving copy. Duration of the closure. So the closure of a business establishment shall last for a period of not less than 5 days and shall be enforced until the violation is rectified. Upon rectification by the taxpayer of the violation pursuant to Section 8 thereof, the review board concerned shall prepare a memorandum report recommending the lifting of the closure order for the approval of the commissioner. The said report shall include the proposed lifting of the closure order supported by the necessary documentation for the approval and signature of the commissioner. The lifting of the closure order shall be prepared in quintuplicate or 5 copies to be distributed as follows. So the original copy for taxpayer's copy, second copy for the Office of the Commissioner, third copy, Office of the Regional Director or ASIR concerned, fourth copy,
Bumitaw lang po yata yung internet ni Juni. Ano po? Nasa duration na tayo ng closure. So usually po ang duration ng closure natin ay not less than 5 days. So kapag napubrahan po na foreclosure po tayo, isasara po ang ating business temporarily for 5 days. At yun po ay ibubukas lang po ulit natin upon rectification ng violation na na-found natin up sa ating through the enforcement activity na ginawa po natin. So kung ang violation po natin ay dahil hindi tayo nakapag-register as VAT registered taxpayer, dapat within 5 days po ay mai-register natin yon at mabayaran kung ano man yung deficiency tax na found po sa atin. Kung ang violation po na nakita sa atin ay under declaration ng more than 30% sa gross sales, so pwede po tayong mag-amend ng VAT returns after nating ma-receive yung closure order. Kung ang violation po natin ay hindi tayo nakapag-issue ng VAT registered receipt, dapat po makapagpa-APP agad tayo, mabayaran ang deficiency tax. At kailangan po nating ma-rectify yon kung ano man yung deficiency tax sa atin within 5 days. Otherwise po, hindi ibubukas ni BIR ang ating pong temporarily closed na negosyo hanggat hindi po natin nare-rectify yung mga violations po natin na yun.
Pwede magtanong?
Mamaya, ma'am. Mamaya po. Meron tayong question and answer, ma'am. Ha, ma'am? May portal po tayo, ma'am. Meron pong, alam ko pong marami kayong itatanong. Mamaya po, ma'am. Ha? Tapusin muna natin yung materials nila. Okay po?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you po, ma'am.
So yung discussion po ni Juni kanina ay dahil po sa surveillance. So ngayon po mag-move on naman po tayo para sa stock taking.
Determine through the inventory verification method if taxpayers have declared the correct amount of sales and paid the corresponding internal revenue taxes. Number 2, to prescribe uniform guidelines and procedures for a comprehensive and effective verification of inventories, inventory lists, and inventory records, as well as prescribe reporting requirements as a result thereof. Number 3, to monitor taxpayers' compliance with the registration of their warehouses, storage places, and bodegas, together with their books of inventories as provided under RR number 5-1994, and to gather data through the inventory verification method in relation to the investigation of income tax, value-added tax, and other internal revenue tax liabilities of the taxpayer. So again, ang objective nito, kagaya ng sinabi dito sa number 1, is to determine kung nag-declare ba ng tama si taxpayer or nag-declare siya ng correct amount of sales and paid the correct internal revenue taxes. So kumbaga dun sa surveillance, di ba, minomonitor natin nga yung sales, nire-record natin yung daily sales, then kinokompara natin yun, tinototal, depende kung gaano katagal yung duration ng surveillance, then to determine the average daily sales. So dito naman, kung doon ay sales ang tinitingnan natin, etong method naman ito, ang titingnan natin yung movement ng inventory. Kaya ang tawag po is stock taking. And sino-sino ba yung mga taxpayer na possible na maging candidate for inventory stock taking ni BIR? So, ito daw yung mga yon. So, the taxpayer that may be selected for inventory taking if he falls under any of the following cases. Number 1, taxpayers with no VAT payable or with excess input tax over output tax in all the quarterly returns during the taxable year. Number 2, taxpayers maintaining an ending inventory of 100% or more of its gross sales during the taxable year, as per example below. So yung kapag daw siya nagme-maintain ng inventory of 100% or more of its gross sales. Number 3, taxpayers who were apprehended for violations of certain internal revenue laws and regulations as a result of surveillance pursuant to RMO number 54-2000 and 3-2009. And number 4, taxpayers who were apprehended for violations related to non-issuance of invoices. And then, just like dun sa surveillance, ito rin yung distribution ng sinaserve na mission order. So, yung original to the revenue officers assigned to conduct the stock taking or inventory verification, yung duplicate to be furnished to the taxpayer, and number 3, or yung triplicate to be duly acknowledged by the taxpayer or his authorized representative, and this serves as a file copy of the office conducting the inventory verification. A photocopy thereof shall be attached to the report, and yung quadruplicate copy naman is file copy of the assessment service. Aside from the service of the mission order, so kasama dito yung distribution or yung pagsaserve ng letter addressed to the taxpayer. So this is served in triplicate copy, and the original copy to be furnished to the taxpayer together with a duplicate copy of the mission order, and yung duplicate copy to be attached to the report or docket, and yung triplicate copy is the file copy of the assessment service. And aside from dun sa mission order na sinaserve din natin yung letter addressed to the subject taxpayer na kung saan nakalagay dito, syempre naka-address dun sa subject taxpayer nga, then
dahil po nakita namin sa chat box na sabi nila ay mahina pa rin ang volume namin. So magla-live na po si Joni. Ano po? Mag-share screen lang po siya.
Again and again, pasensya na po. Hindi ko po inaasahan na ang hina pala ng dating ng boses ko. Para kasing medyo robot din yung dating. Alam mo. So now, to continue the video presentation po. So hanapin ko lang po yung slide sa dinidiscuss kanina. So again, ito po yung mga qualification ng taxpayer for him to be selected for inventory taking. So yung number 1, the taxpayer with no VAT payable or with excess input tax or over output tax in the quarter VAT returns during the taxable year, or kapag taxpayer may maintain ng inventory of 100% or more of its gross sales during the taxable year, as per example below. So, halimbawa, yung ending inventory over gross sales, so yung 5 million over 5 million is 100%. Then, number 3 is taxpayer who were apprehended for violations of certain internal revenue laws and regulations as a result of surveillance pursuant to RMO 54-2000 and 3-2009. And taxpayer who were apprehended for violations relating to the non-issuance of invoices. So sa distribution ng MO, so ito lang yung mga sinuserve bali in quadruplicate copy yung sinuserve na MO, so ito yung distribution ng mga copies. So yung original sa revenue officer, yung duplicate is dun sa taxpayer, and yung triplicate to be duly acknowledged with the taxpayer or his authorized representative, serve as a file copy of the office conducting the inventory verification. And yung fourth copy is yung file copy of the assessment service. And bukod dun sa MO regarding sa stock taking, sa stock taking, so nagsaserve din kami nung bukod na letter. So in triplicate copy, so yung original to be furnished to the taxpayer, yung duplicate to be attached to the report. So ito yung copy namin, and then yung triplicate, yung file copy ng assessment service. So ito yung itsura nung letter addressed to the taxpayer. So syempre naka-address sa taxpayer, and nakalagay lang dito kung ano yung mission order number at kung sino-sino yung revenue officer at group supervisor na magkakandak ng stock taking. And ito po ay signed ng either ng Commissioner ng Large Taxpayer Service or ng Regional Director. And of course, sa bandang ilalim, should be received by the taxpayer or his duly authorized representative. And prior to the service of the mission order to the taxpayer, the revenue officer shall secure the following data from ITS records or any available records with the Bureau. So ito kumbaga yung pinagbabasehan naming records. So syempre parang ang objective dito is to determine kung meron bang discrepancy dun sa inventory as per submitted na inventory list versus dun sa physical count na kinonduct namin. So ito yung kumbaga yung basis ng aming kumbaga kinakonduct na audit pertaining dun sa surveillance. So first is yung inventory of all printed accountable forms covered by permits issued by the Bureau. Second is all books of accounts and other accounting records registered with the Investigating Office or RDO. Third is the registration data of all branches, warehouses, bodegas, or facilities maintained, including their corresponding addresses. And fourth is the annual inventory list filed with the BIR for the immediately preceding year to establish the beginning inventory of the taxable year covered by the inventory verification. And after serving of the mission order, the revenue officer shall perform immediately the following inventory verification procedure. So kumbaga in reality, so binibilang namin yung inventory na owned ni taxpayer. But first, we familiarize with the taxpayer's business and its product. Second, we request or secure from the taxpayer the copies of the following. So list of all inventory items, records of sales, purchases, sales returns, purchase returns, and other records or documents such as stock cards pertinent to taxpayer's record of inventories, and C, inventory list at the end of the year based on the inventories segregated per location where the same are stored or maintained. And we conduct immediate physical count of all accountable forms, establish cutoff thereof. So yun nga, kagaya po nung nabanggit po kanina, since ito is stock taking, syempre ang ginagawa namin dito is we conduct physical count of the inventory. So lahat ng inventory. And take note, yun nga po, ang pinagbabasihan namin normally dito is yung inventory list na isinabmit kay BIR. So yan po, yung number 4. From the list of inventory items, select a representative sample of at least 10% of the total number of inventory items. And number 5, determine the fast-moving items and slow-moving items in the inventory that can be feasibly counted based on the stock cards. Prioritize the counting of the fast-moving stocks over the slow-moving items in the inventory. And prepare pre-numbered inventory count tags or any other medium in duplicate indicating the names of inventory items, stock number, plant or warehouse location, and count measurement. The duplicate of the tags should be attached to the goods until the inventory summary is completed, while the original tags should be kept together with the summary sheets. Inventory compilation sheets should also be prepared so that the data recorded on tags or count media can be transferred, priced, extended, and totaled. So yan, ang dami pa, no? Number 7, count a full or detailed physical inventory count in the presence of the taxpayer. Number 8, record counted items on the inventory count worksheet or yung Annex D, and ascertain the level of internal control relative to the processing handling of inventories adopted by the taxpayer. And we also verify the method of inventory valuation adopted by the taxpayer and ascertain if it conforms with the acceptable valuation method prescribed under the tax code. Check if all books of inventories are registered with the BIR pursuant to Section 13 of the Bookkeeping Regulations as amended by the RR number 5-94. And number 12, reconcile actual inventory summaries with inventory records stock cards kept by the taxpayer. So ito po yung itsura ng aming inventory count worksheet na ginagamit namin during the actual physical count of the inventories of the subject taxpayer. So take note na yung conduct ng physical count is ginagawa namin in the presence of the taxpayer or the taxpayer's authorized representative. And after the conduct of the actual physical count of the inventories of the taxpayer, so ito naman yung computation na ginagawa namin para ma-determine namin kung merong discrepancy dun sa sinabit na inventory list versus dun sa physical count. So ang formula niyan, so kumbaga ang ibig sabihin kasi ng formula nito, di ba may kumbaga inventory as of December 31, 2021. So di ba yung mission order, halimbawa na issue ngayon June 15, 2022. So ang ginagawa namin, di ba, ikakontak namin yung physical count as of June 15, 2022. And ang gagawin namin, yung mga transactions after December 31, 2021, parang i-exclude namin para mag-arrive kung may nagkaroon ba ng discrepancy dun sa inventory as of December 31, 2021. So kumbaga, yung subsequent to the yung mga subsequent transactions from 2021, kumbaga yung mga nadagdag, i-deduct, and then yung mga napadiduct during 2022, i-add back naman. So ito yung ibig sabihin ng formula na yan. So first, yung ending inventory nga for inventory list or audited FS or ITR, and then yung inventory of goods for physical count, then add or deduct adjustments. So naka-add yung mga, take note, i-add natin yung mga dineduct during 2022. So we add back the disposal of items or goods evidenced by sales invoices, and we add withdrawals of goods evidenced by material issuance slip, delivery receipt, and less receipt of items or goods evidenced by materials receiving report or delivery receipt, and other receipt evidence by material receiving report or delivery receipt, and less importation of goods evidenced by importation documents to determine the adjusted inventory of goods per physical count as of, halimbawa, kung yun nga, December 31, 2021, and so yung na-compute nating adjusted inventory, ileles natin doon sa ending inventory per inventory list na isinabit sa BIR. So to determine the difference, it is either over or under. So yun. And ito naman po yung iba pang computation. So to compute the computation of over or under declared inventories. So yung ending inventory per return, less ending inventory per physical count as adjusted, determine kung over or under. And then yung pangalawang computation, yung letter B, computation of gross markup on cost of sales. So yung para ma-determine to, yung gross profit per audited FS divided by cost of sales per audited FS para makuha yung percentage of gross markup on cost of sales. And yung third computation, yung letter C, computation of estimated gross profit applicable only for overstated inventory in computation A above. So amount of overstated inventories multiplied by the rate of gross markup versus cost or the computation from the above to determine the estimated gross markup. And ito naman po yung computation ng mga deficiency taxes. So yung assumption 1, kung paano daw kapag mayroong overstatement of ending inventory. And yung pangalawa naman, yung assumption 2 is yung paano kapag meron ng understatement of ending inventory. So yung sa assumption 1, computation of deficiency income tax shall be computed as follows. So yung taxable income per return, then you add estimated gross markup to get the taxable income per investigation, then times mo lang yun sa tax rate to determine the tax due thereon, then less tax paid per return to get the basic deficiency income tax. So take note, ito ay basic deficiency income tax. So bukod pa dito yung mga penalties na i-impose, yung mga surcharge, interest, and compromise penalties. And bukod sa computation ng deficiency income tax, kapag may overstatement of ending inventory, of course, magkakaroon din ng deficiency sa VAT. So ang computation niya, yung amount ng overstated inventory, add estimated gross markup, and then to get the amount subjected to VAT. So to determine so pagkuha ng deficiency VAT, yung nakuha nating amount na subjected to VAT times 12 over 112. So bali pag kami overstatement of inventory, bukod sa deficiency income tax, merong deficiency VAT din. And sa assumption number 2 naman, pagka understated ang ending inventory, ang kukumpitin lang natin dito is yung deficiency income tax. So ang computation niya yung taxable income per return, add the amount of understated inventory to get the taxable income per investigation, and then apply the tax rate to get the tax due thereon, less tax paid per return. And then we will get the basic deficiency income tax. And take note, wala siyang deficiency VAT. And because no tax implications for VAT purposes on the premise that under-declared inventories do not constitute items or goods deemed sold. So last is sales monitoring. So sa sales monitoring naman po, again and again, since mission order pinag-usapan natin, lagi nag-uumpisa ang ating enforcement dito sa mission order. Pero ang objective naman ng sales monitoring na to is specifically para lang ito sa mga gumagamit ng mga CRM, POS, and other sales receipting system software na ginagamit ng mga taxpayer. So kung yung mga supermarket, yung mga department store, yung sa mga malls, so ito yung possible na masubject para sa sales monitoring, yung mga gumagamit ng mga CRM, POS machines, and other sales receipting system software. So ang objective nito is to determine through the post-evaluation of CRM or POS machine and other sales receipting system software, including the extraction of data from the e-sales journal and Z-reading, if taxpayers have declared the correct amount of sales and paid the corresponding internal revenue taxes, and to prescribe the uniform guidelines and procedures for a comprehensive and effective conduct of post-evaluation of CRM, POS machines, and other sales receipting system software, including extraction of data from e-sales journal and Z-reading, as well as prescribe reporting requirements as a result thereof. Number 3, to validate taxpayers' compliance on the invoicing, as well as e-sales reporting requirements under existing issuance relative to the use of CRM, POS machines, and other sales receipting system software. Number 4, to gather the data through the post-evaluation activity in relation to the investigation of income tax, value-added tax, and other internal revenue tax liabilities of the taxpayer. And to raise awareness that the use of sales suppression software and devices is strictly prohibited. So policies, guidelines, and procedure. So kaya ng sinabi ko kanina, mag-uumpisa ang ating enforcement dito by serving of mission order. So kagaya ng mga naunang activity, so magsaserve kami ng mission order in a quadruplicate copy. And bukod doon, kagaya nung sa stock taking, meron kaming letter address to the taxpayer. So kagaya nung nakalagay din dito kung anong mission order number at kung sino din yung authorized na revenue officer na magkakandak ng post-evaluation ng CRM, POS machine, and other machines na gumagamit nga kagaya nga nung sa CRM, POS. And number 2, each machine being used for business operation must be registered with the Bureau and must have a permit to use that must be conspicuously attached thereto, showing the following information. So name and address and PIN of the taxpayer user with branch code, yung MIN or yung machine identification number, the PTO number, and branch or model and serial number of CRM or POS machines, software license number for cloned machines pursuant to RR number 5-2005 dated February 17, 2005. Then number 3, all POS machines being used must generate the corresponding e-sales journal with CRM and must have the corresponding journal tapes installed on both rollers, including sales books or its equivalent, and capable of generating the Z-reading. Sorry. Number 4, the training mode or no-sale transaction mode of the CRM, POS, and other machines being used in business operations should have been disabled. So bawal po yung number 4 kapag yung ating CRM or POS machine is on training mode or no sale transaction mode. Number 5, all certificates of accreditation shall be valid and in effect based on its date of issuance with staggered implementation pursuant to RMC number 55-2016. And number 6, all existing final PTUs, including those provisional PTUs that were converted on or before July 31, 2015, shall have a validity period of 5 years effective August 1, 2015, pursuant to RMO number 30-2015. 7, all permit to use or PTU issued prior to the expiration of the supplier's accreditation are valid for a period of 5 years from the date of issuance thereof. Taxpayers who purchase from a supplier with expired accreditation are prohibited to use the machine software. Otherwise, they shall be subjected to penalties in accordance with existing revenue issuances. So take note of number 7. So ibig sabihin nito, yung permit use daw, dapat yung machine ginagamit natin is pinurchase natin doon sa mga accredited supplier na hindi pa expire yung kanilang accreditation. Kapag bumili tayo dito, subject siya sa penalties in accordance with existing revenue issuances. And number 8, all receipts, invoices generated from CRM, POS, and other sales receipting system software must be in compliance with the provision of Section 5 of RR 10-2015 as shown in PEG form or yung post-evaluation guide form in Annex B hereof, and taxpayers' adherence to the registration, bookkeeping, and invoicing receipting, manual receipting requirements shall also be verified. And number 9, registered machines may be withdrawn from use either by retirement or by sale upon approval of the application for cancellation of PTU by the concerned LTS office or Revenue District Office where the taxpayer user is registered, and machine with canceled PTU must no longer be used in business operation of the taxpayer user. Otherwise, corresponding penalties shall be imposed for the related violations and instruction of sales data shall be undertaken. Number 10, a taxpayer who has been issued a permit to use sales machine shall not have a machine undergo any major repairs, upgrades, change, modification, update, or remove from its specified location without prior written notice and approval by the concerned LTS or RDO where the machine is registered in accordance with RMO number 10-2005. And number 11, all taxpayers using CRM POS machines and other sales receipting system software enrolled in the e-sales system with or without sales transaction are required to submit a monthly sales report per machine pursuant to RMO 12-2012. And this shall include a roving machine, which is defined as CRMs or POS machines and other invoice receipting generating machines controlled and managed by the taxpayer's head office and transferred for use in any of its branches as the need arises. Prior to its deployment, taxpayers using roving machine should have an approved authorization from the concerned LTS office, RDO having jurisdiction of the taxpayer's head office, and shall likewise inform the RDO where the machine will be used. And last is number 12, taxpayers with more than 999 branches with PTU issued to machines registered as roving machines in accordance with the workaround procedures prescribed under RMO 18-2015 shall have notified the Chief of Office of the LTAD, LTRD, LTD via email or letter with the list of branches who have more than 919 branch code subject for registration of the machine, and in the absence of such notification, the corresponding penalty shall be imposed. And ito po yung itsura nung PEG form na pinifila pa namin upon post-evaluation ng ating mga CRM, POS, or SPM machine. So yun nga, upon service of the emission order sa kanong letter to the taxpayer, so nagkakandak na rin, sinasabay na rin namin yung pagta-tax map doon sa taxpayer, and ito nga pinifila pa namin tong post-evaluation guide form. So nakalagay dito yung yung mga Roman numeral numbers na lang yung titingnan natin. So pinipalapan namin dito yung general information sheet ng taxpayer. And number 2 yung information regarding sa manual receipts or invoices used, kung meron ba silang ginagamit ng manual receipts. And yung number 3, yung permit to use patungkol sa kanilang mga sales machine, yung mga CRM POS machines. And then number 4, yung information naman regarding sa invoicing or receipting requirements. So ito mga pinipilap. Kami nagpipilap nito yung mga revenue officers na nagkakontak ng POS. 5 is yung information regarding sa sales book, report, and other back-end reports. 6 yung technical requirements. And last, kung meron kaming other observations, and signed ito ng revenue officer na nagkandak ng post-evaluation and signed by the taxpayer, date ng post-evaluation, and signed kung merong mga witnesses. And bukod dito, idagdag ko lang po na yun nga po, after nitong post-evaluation, so meron kami mga pinapa-comply sa mga taxpayer na kailangan nilang isubmit. Like yun nga yung nabanggit kanina, yung e-sales journal, yung mga back-end report. So kailangan nilang isubmit sa amin to na soft copy, and then i-evaluate namin to, and then para ma-determine namin kung tama ba yung naka-declare, kasi ang aming basis dito, yung na-declare na sales doon sa na-cover na taxable year ng POS evaluation. Let's say for example, kung 2020 yan, 2019 or 2018. So i-consolidate namin yung e-sales journal or saka yung mga back-end report, ikukumpara namin doon sa na-declare na sales. And then kung nagkaroon ng deficiency, i-assess namin to for deficiency income tax and VAT. And ito, babagong na-issue lang itong RMC na to. So dahil nga po na-issue itong RMC number 77-2022, so na-suspend muna yung mga pending na LOA at saka mission order. So as of now nga po, hindi pa kami pwedeng mag-conduct ng enforcement activity na merong letter of authority at saka mission order kasi nga suspended. Pero may mga exemptions na binanggit sa RMC 77-2022. So ano ba yung exemptions na magpapatuloy pa rin yung investigation or yung enforcement activity? Yung una is yung mga investigation of cases prescribing on or before October 31, 2022. Second is yung processing and verification of estate tax returns, donors tax returns, capital gains tax returns, and withholding tax returns on the sale of real properties or shares of stock, together with the documentally stamped tax returns related thereto, and examination and or verification of internal revenue tax liabilities of taxpayers retiring from business or yung mga closure of business, and audit of NGA, LGU, and GOCCs, including subsidiaries and affiliates. And last, yung other matters concerned where deadlines have been imposed or under the orders of the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. So yung RMC nito was issued May 30, 2022. And that ends my presentation. So thank you po sa pakikinig, and pasensya na po dun sa mga technical problems na na-encounter natin. So maraming salamat po. Fellow PICPAs. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnny Lon, for that informative lecture. So, can I now share my screen? So before we proceed, meron pong tayong quiz bee, mga dalawang question maybe. Can I, sir, can I, share my, or kayo muna, sige. To quiz B from BIR. So before we proceed to the question and answer portion. So, sino pong magbibigay? Si Ma'am Grace? Okay, Ma'am Grace, the floor is yours.
Yes, ma'am. So, nandito na naman tayo. Medyo mainit po kasi yung balitaktakan natin sa mission order na ito with regards sa surveillance and stock taking. So para lang po medyo pumaya pa tayo ng konti with regard sa topic natin na ito. Magkakaroon lang kami ng very, very light na crispy. Ano po, kagaya po ng dati, ang mechanics po natin ay una-unahan sa chat box. However, isusulat ko po muna yung question number and sasabihin ko na go bago kayo mag-answer. Kung sino yung after ng chat ko na go na yon, yun po ang i-indicate natin na tamang panalo. Ano po? 200 pesos GCash ang ipapadala po natin sa kanila sa mga mauunang manalo. And our quiz master, yes po.
Ano daw po ma'am? Mag-i-echo daw po kayo. May echo daw.
Nag-e-echo ako. Bebe, pa-mute ako. Baka may hindi naka-mute. Okay na? Ayan po. And our quiz master for today is Miss Sofia Traballo. Pia, Bebe?
Yes po. Start na po tayo.
Yes
Question
po.
number 1. Yes, ma'am. Question number 1. Ready na po ba tayo? Ready na po, ma'am? Sir?
Ready na po yata sila ma'am lahat. Excited po sila sa 200 pesos. Ready na daw po.
Okay po. After po magsabi ng go, saka lang po tayo pwedeng sumagot.
So yung question po nasa nasa screen.
Yes, ma'am. Question number 1. Ay, wala pa po pwedeng sumagot after na lang po ng go.
Yes po.
Disqualified
Ay,
na
pa lang
yan.
muna, ma'am, yung question po. Question number 1, a taxpayer who, as a result of surveillance or stock-taking activities, has been found to have committed the violations enumerated in Item 1, Section 4 of this order, and who, notwithstanding the issuance of several notices of violations, continues to refuse to comply with the requirements provided under existing rules and regulations. Letter A, compliant taxpayer. Letter B, non-compliant taxpayer. Letter C, large taxpayer. Or letter D, thumb taxpayer. Go.
So, sino kaya magmo-monitor ng ating So, after the go, sino yung una? Ang dami, oh.
Yes, ma'am. Andito po si Sir Arnold to monitor po.
Ma'am, mas maganda po siguro para mas transparent. Yung go natin, isusulat din natin sa chat box. Kasi doon natin mas
Ma'am, meron po.
meron po.
Simultaneous po yun, ma'am. After ko po mag-go.
Okay.
Ma'am.
Ang layo, ang
Ano
dami.
lang po. Uy.
Ikaw na ba?
Ang answer po ay letter B. Hinahanap lang po natin ang winner.
Yes po.
Dami nang sumagot kanina pa.
Saglit lang po. Marami po kasi ang participants.
Kita mo, nasan ako?
Hindi ko pa, hinahanap ko pa bisa.
Makita, malabong mata.
Nasaan yung go?
Mahaba yun, Dizon. Ano pa?
Oo, mahaba yung go ko. Question number 1, go.
Hindi ko na mahabang ganap.
Oo. Kasi nga para kita mo na mahaba ako. Hindi ako nakago lang. So, question
Marami po kasi sumagot before the go eh. Marami nang nakasagot.
Yes po.
Una na po.
Wala pala.
Just be reminded po, bago po tayo magsasagot is para din ma-disqualify, hintayin po natin yung go signal nila ma'am. Tatay po nila sa chat box yung go and then saka po tayo makakapag-send ng answer natin.
Nag-chat ka, Dizon. Ito. Ay, hindi pala ikaw yung Dizon.
Yes, may question ako. Question number 1.
Tapos mabalik ko mo.
Oo, tapos go. Na maraming punctuation mark.
Yes po. Ayun, ay di rin. May gumagaya sa uso.
Baka may tinapenter.
Hindi, na-enter ko eh.
Hanapin po.
Hindi at nag-enter ako. Pag ako din nakita ko, yari ko sa akin.
Ito na bisa.
Magaling mag-hanap ka, yari ko sa tatlo. Tatlo na kayo.
Ito na kami nag-aaral.
Nawala eh.
So, meron na po tayong winner. Ang dami pong ano.
Malapit na po. Malapit na po, ma'am.
Di ba to?
Yung may go series po.
Ano ko nakita mo ito?
Meron po yan. Nag-type ka naman. Anong episode? Nakikita ko siya dati.
Di ko rin po makita sa chat box.
Ito po,
Ayan,
Cynthia Tanda.
Ma'am Cynthia Tanda. Winner
Yes,
for
congratulations.
Congratulations po.
Ma'am Cynthia.
Parang sentang nalabas yung ano.
Okay, so okay na po. So let's proceed to question number 2.
Question number 2 po.
Opo.
Question number 2. The surreptitious and undercover watch on the business operations of a person for a certain period before the conduct of the inventory of business documents evidencing receipt of income as well as movement of goods or rendition of services or apprehension or seizure of the aforementioned business documents and properties found to be the subject of violation of the provision of the NIR as amended and its implementing regulation, section 60 of IRC as amended. Letter A, covert surveillance. Letter B, covert surveillance. Letter C, short duration surveillance. Or letter D, none of the above. Go. Makikita kita bisura. Makikita.
Dapat may timer kayo, 10 seconds.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, meron na.
Correct answer is letter A.
Okay, so letter A. So may winner po. Parang ako po yun.
Hinahanap pa lang po, ma'am. Hindi naman na po. Bisa? Oh, same leader.
Si Ma'am Cynthia Tanda po ulit. Kaso na Abigail na lang.
Si Ma'am Abigail po. So congratulations, Ma'am Abigail, for winning the question number 2.
Yes po.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe we can now proceed to the Q&A. Let us welcome. Mag-share screen na lang po ako. I cannot share screen. Paki-stop na lang. Ayun, okay. Ayan. Asan na ba? Let us call on the virtual stage Group Supervisor Grace and Mangubats to facilitate the Q&A. Ayan, Ma'am Grace.
Thank you po ulit, Ma'am Doray.
So, mag-stop screen po ba ako or what? Ayun na po. Okay na lang po.
Yes po, si Ma'am Maria na lang po yung
Okay. Sige po, ma'am. Thank you.
elaborate ng ating Q&A. Ano po?
Okay po. Thank
So,
you po.
sagutin muna natin to. Basic na basic daw. Please elaborate the difference between the authority, letter of authority, and mission order.
Good afternoon po ulit. So, yung tanong po, please elaborate the difference between the letter of authority at saka mission order. So, kasi po, pag sinabi nating letter of authority, binibigyan ng authority itong specific revenue officer at saka yung group supervisor na mag-conduct ng investigation patungkol dun sa accounting records and yun nga, sa mga accounting records ni taxpayer kasi i-audit namin siya kung i-audit namin yung lahat ng internal revenue tax ni taxpayer eh. And yung mission order naman, merong specific lang na ikakandak na enforcement activity kagaya ng mga napag-usapan natin ngayon. So yung mission order, ito eh, kung patungkol ito kung ito ba ay about sa tax mapping. So pag sinabi natin tax mapping yung TCBD, sinecheck namin yung primary at saka secondary registration. So hanggang dun lang yung scope ng mission order. Kung baga naka-specific kung TCBD ba to, kung surveillance, kung stock taking, or post-evaluation. Unlike ng letter of authority, mas broad yung sakop niya kasi lahat ng related dun sa final nilang tax return, ini-investigate namin. So yun po.
Yes
Thank
po.
you,
Ano
sir.
po, and aside from that po, so yung letter of authority nga po, sabi ni Joni, ay accounting records ang titingnan natin. Sa mission order, meron lang po tayong mga specific na titingnan, actual na pangyayari sa specific na araw. Kung ano yung covered na period ng mission order natin, current po siya. Ang LOA po kasi natin, natapos na natin yung year, taxable year. Halimbawa, taxable year 2020 yung ino-audit natin. Yung mission order po nito, current po yung kino-cover natin na duration. Halimbawa, from July 1 to July 20. Yun po yung issue natin. At specific po kung anong nakalagay na gagawin natin. Tax mapping, surveillance, or stock taking. Next po, are there instances na parehong makareceive ang taxpayer ng mission order at LOA? The answer is yes po. Ano po? So usually, minsan meron tayong nauuna yung mission order, tapos i-consolidate natin yung findings natin papunta sa LOA, gaya po nung sabi ni Joni kanina, kung either magpo-closure siya or mag-LOA po tayo. Or minsan po may naka-issued siya currently na LOA, tapos na-subject din po siya sa mission order. Third question po, is it a policy of the BIR to conduct mission orders prior to sending LOAs to also provide a chance for the TP to avoid being examined if compliant with regulations? Wala pong ganong policy ang BIR. Ano po, kasi usually po, ang ating pong mission order, meron po tayong mga criteria na siniselect kung sino ang isa-subject natin sa mission order. Depende po kung anong mission order ang i-issue po natin dito para po ma-check yung compliance po nila. Gayun din po, ang ating pong LOA, generally po, lahat po tayo ay pwedeng ma-subject under audit. Pwede na po ulit tayong mag-PISB, ma'am, or proceed pa po tayo dito sa Q&A?
O sige ma'am, kung konti lang naman po siguro, another 2 quiz B?
Yes, ma'am. Another 2 po sana sa quiz B ulit para po makapag... Gustong-gusto po kasi ni Joning magbigay ng 250 cash.
Ganun po ba? Sana manalo ako. Okay.
So,
Mag-share screen po kayo, ma'am? Mag-share screen kayo?
Apo. Thank you, Ma'am Dora.
Okay, thank you po. Ayan.
Ating quiz B master, Pia, Bebe.
Okay po. Next question po for question number 3. Slide please. Question number 3. The type of surveillance which commences with the inventory taking of the business documents as mentioned in 1.1 above of the person under surveillance, followed by the actual observation and close monitoring of the business activities of such person. Letter A, covert surveillance. B, covert surveillance. C, short duration surveillance, or D, none of the above. Go. Hanapin lang po natin ang winner. Nakita na ito, Bizar. Correct answer is letter B. Ang nanalo po ay si Miss Rose and Abigail Abenyo.
Naku, nahuli na naman ako.
Nasya number 3. Bizar. B.
B. It's a B.
Rose and Abigail Abenyo. Ikaw yan, di ba, Bizar? Ay, sabi sa'yo, Bizar, dalawa kayo.
Pero nanalo na siya kanina.
Ay, okay po.
Number 2. Sinong kasunod niya?
Okay po. Si Sir J. Person Jacob. Ha? Hindi nga po. Dito.
Pa-maximize mo ako, Bebe. Kaya mong i-maximize.
Apo. Oh, wait lang po, ma'am ha. May nais lang po kami.
Yeah.
Siya rin po, sir.
Huh?
Jefferson. Jacob.
Jefferson Jacob.
Yes po.
Congratulations, Sir Jefferson,
Congratulations po. Hindi, nanalo na rin po kasi.
for winning question 3. Oh, question 3.
Opo. Okay na po tayo.
Yes po.
Next
Go.
question po. Yes po. Question number 4. The type of surveillance wherein the business operations of the target taxpayer are observed for purposes of detecting non-compliance with the Bureau's primary and secondary registration requirements. It is an on and off activity which does not involve prolonged on-premises observation. A. Covert surveillance. B. Overt surveillance. C. Short duration surveillance. Or D. None of the above. Go. Okay po, hanapin lang po natin ang winner for question number 4. Ano pong answer? Ano pong answer? Answer for question number 4 is letter C. Congratulations to Miss Chini Sangre.
Congratulations.
Po. Balik po tayo
Hindi ako
sa...
huli. Okay. So, sa Q&A naman po tayo ngayon.
Po tayo sa ating Q&A. Ano po? So natapos tayo kanina sa question. Nasaan na tayo?
So,
How
dami
does the
natin
BIR generate list of pre-selected taxpayer to whom they conduct tax mapping mission order? Does the BIR have taxpayers benchmarking per industry? John Lon.
Maybe, ma'am, we can accommodate 2 more or 3 questions.
Ano po, ma'am?
Mga 3 more questions na lang po siguro.
Ah,
Or kasi may another quiz B pa po kayo?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Para
Oo,
matuloy
kasi
po natin.
medyo
Ano po,
quarter to 4 na kasi.
magpili, okay lang po ba na magpili na lang kami dito sa natitirang questions ang sasagutin namin? Pero kukunin po ulit namin kay Miss Marian yung
Yes
mga
po.
details po na ito para ma-email po namin sa inyo yung magiging sagot po namin doon sa hindi namin masasagot dito sa live natin na tanungan dito. Ano
Yes
po?
po, ma'am. Very well po.
Yun nga, sagutin ko lang yung nabasang tanong ni Biso, yung how does the BIR generate list of pre-selected taxpayer to whom they conduct the tax mapping mission order? Does the BIR have taxpayers benchmarking per industry? So, yung unang tanong, kung ano ba yung mga, parang nabanggit ko to kanina kung ano yung mga possible na maging candidate namin sa mission order. Pero yung pertaining sa tax mapping, so basically, monthly, nagkakanta kami ng tax mapping. So may mga mission order kami kung ano yung scope, kung saang lugar kami, sa sakop namin, yung Sardo 57, di ba, pwedeng Kabuhay, Santa Rosa, Binyan or San Pedro. So pinupuntahan namin yung mga store na to, then randomly pinupuntahan namin para ma-check yung mga primary at saka secondary registration. And doon naman sa surveillance kanina, di ba, yung prelude to surveillance. So bago kami conduct ng mismong nung overt surveillance, so kumukuha muna kami ng primary information patungkol sa taxpayer, or pwede ring yun nga yung nag-test bite kami doon sa taxpayer. Doon naman sa stock taking, yun nga, may mga qualifications ako nabanggit doon, gaya nung kapag nag-maintain si taxpayer ng 100% yung ending inventory niya is 100% ng kanyang gross sales. So may mga qualifications kami na tinitingnan doon sa pag-i-issue ng mission order.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. Anyway,
yes po. Additionally po, sa totoong buhay po, ang atin pong mga companies dito, maging aware lang din po tayo. Kasi minsan may mga bumibili sa atin, tapos hindi natin ini-issuehan ng resibo. Actually po, meron po mga nakakarating sa amin dito na sumbong, complaint, regarding the issuance of unregistered receipt. Nagiging basis din po namin siya. Bini-verify po lang po namin yung mga napapabigay sa amin na complaints kung papasok po siya sa mga selection criteria na pumapasok din po sa mga RR natin. Pero basically po sa totoong buhay po, minsan hindi na namin kailangang lumabas ng BIR. Mismo yung mga taxpayer po ang pumupunta dito at nag-aabot kung sino-sino po ang pwede naming isubject for the mission order. Ano po? Next po.
Ma'am, ito suggestion ko. Maganda tong question ni Miss Maria Clarissa Competente.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. That pertains to our profession.
Nasaan to?
May I
Number C. Ay, doon.
Ayan.
Line 16.
Yan,
Oh, line 16.
May I please ask if the accountant audited the FS, which was found by BIR violated any BIR ruling, is also be held liable? Thank you. Medyo magandang balitaktakan po natin ito, ano? Kasi gusto ko yung mga ganito eh. Actually po, di ba? Kapag po may nakita tayo kasing violation, si BIR, usually naman po, quantifiable siya. Deficiency tax po siya. Ano po? Ibig sabihin, kukolektahin namin kung ano yung deficiency tax sa inyo. However po, which is that civil liability po yun. Magkaiba po yun kapag na-found out po natin na may criminal liability kayo. So ibig sabihin po, yung accountant, di po ba? Kasi siya po yung nagperma na audited po natin yung FS. Opo, held liable din po siya. Pero usually, hindi naman po tayo nakakarating doon once na sinesettle naman po natin yung civil liability natin kay BIR, which is the deficiency tax. Binabayaran po ni taxpayer yung deficiency tax na naa-assess sa kanya. However, kung magmamatigas si taxpayer, lalaban po siya, makakarating po tayo sa filing ng rape cases, which is criminal liability na po, medyo uusad po yung kaso natin with regards po dito. Kasi papatunayan po namin na tax evader po ang taxpayer na ito. So kasama po doon si accountant.
Ayun, beware.
Practicing accountant po tayo, dapat careful po tayo kung sino po yung in-audit din natin, make sure din po na ganun. Kasi practicing accountant po tayo. Jeff Joni, may dadagdag.
Dagdag ko lang po yung sinabi ni Bisor. Kasi medyo confusing po kasi yung tanong. Yung accountant din po ba yung pumirma dun sa FS as audited? Di ba meron tayong mga external auditor opo, na pumipirma dun sa FS. And yun nga, medyo confusing yung tanong. May I ask if the accountant audited the FS? So di ba basically di ba management, di ba meron tayong napag-aralan natin that yung management yung responsible dun sa financial statement natin.
Kaya may SMR, sir.
Yes po, kaya po merong SMR. So yung magiging implication nga po nun yung sinabi ni Bisor. So medyo confusing lang po yung if the accountant audited the financial statement. Yan po.
Ma'am, pwedeng mag-react? Yung may I please, tama si sir,
Good afternoon.
Si sir
Jonilon.
Jonilon. Na there are 3 accountants actually. Isang internal, doing the internal audit. Yung external auditor, siya po yung nagdi-defend na tama ang lahat ng financial statement final ni taxpayer. Kung may liability man si taxpayer sa deficiency tax, hindi liable si accountant, please. Hindi kami liable. Pag deficiency tax ang pinag-uusapan. Pag po violation ng financial reporting standard, iba po yun. Sa Securities Exchange Commission po yun. May liability ang mga accountant. Pero sa BIR, siguro naman hindi kami liable kasi deficiency tax po yun, taxpayer yun. At ang basihan ko nga po, may management responsibility for filing of audited financial statement. Kami po ay hindi bookkeeper. Auditor po kami. Hindi kami nag-bookkeep ng kanilang libro. Kundi chinek namin kung may violation sila sa audit, internal audit na kailangan po ng government, ng taxpayer. So deficiency tax, wala po kami liability dyan, sir, ha? Ma'am, Baka pati kasi ang tax ng taxpayer na may shortage sa deficiency ay liability na. Kasi sa totoong buhay, ang mga auditor po is talagang nakatutok naman sa ino-audit nila. Wala naman pong, siguro naman karamihan dito, hindi naman notary public na auditor. Ibig ko sabihin po is, alam namin yung mga pinipirmahan namin na kliyente namin. Kaya nga po, mahal kami. Kasi kung ang babayaran lang sa atin ay 500, 2,000 or 10,000, dignidad naman po natin ang ating isipin. Tama po ba, ma'am? Sige po, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Tamang-tama ka po. Pag po deficiency tax lang ang sinisingil po namin, si taxpayer po ang liable doon, hindi po si accountant.
Opo, ma'am.
Yes po. And lastly po, para po sa ating question and answer, Joni, ikaw na mamili ng kung anong gusto mong sagutin dito na medyo magiging informative sa ating mga taxpayer na nandito. All the rest po is kukunin ko ulit kay Miss Marian ang
Walang mapili si Sir Johnny, tutulungan kita, sir.
Kanina ko pa po kasing tinignan yung last question, yung kay Ma'am Mary June Garcia Cortez.
Okay.
Apo.
POS?
Wala.
Ay,
Yung
nawala.
sa mga Grab drivers, parang nakatawa may Grab. Yun po bang Grab orders, dapat po ba may OR or tape receipt na issued? So far, Domino and Chowking lang po ang nag-i-issue ng tape receipt. So ito ipatungkol din sa dun sa mga gumagamit ng CRM-POS machine. Kasi di ba pagka po CRM-POS machine, di ba dapat po bago gamitin ni taxpayer, dapat meron siyang permit to use. So basically po, dapat meron. Kasi di ba pagka umorder tayo sa Grab, may nakatouch dapat na resibo dun sa kasama dun sa in-order natin. And dapat yung bukod dun sa resibo galing sa Grab, meron din po dapat na nakatouch na resibo galing dun sa
merchant.
Sa merchant, dun sa kung ini Domino or Chowking ba. So dapat po may naka-attach.
So, ang ibig nyo sabihin, sir, dalawa po ang resibo kasi may
Yes po,
resibo
yes
si Grab for
May
the
resibo si
services.
Grab,
Yes. At
may resibo si merchant. Opo.
Okay, yun po yun talaga. Dalawa po talaga resibo kasi nakakaawa nga si Grab pag ako ang nandito sa bahay.
Okay.
Dahil pag tinanong ko, nasaan ang resibo ng Shakey's? Bakit po kasi may service charge Kasi may income. Yung meron ka na palang 150 or magkano man yung, depende kasi sa location. So ang talagang totoo, dalawa po ang resibo at hindi po siya resibo na scotch tape or tape lang. Kundi yung pong talagang resibo na ini-issue ng POS or kung manual resibo, OR po talaga ang hihingiin po natin. Pero tama po yun.
Ang tanong namin dyan, yung mga online, paano mo maipapakalan sa kumpanya? So, ang dami pang tawag nun. Kasi di ba online nga?
Ma'am, automatic. Pag nag-online po ako, ginagamit ko na kaagad ng pangalan ng company. Kanyari, si Heronima Lapus, ginagamit ko na kaagad si Heronima Accounting Services. Ganun po.
Question naman, for example, sa Lazada or sa kasi sinasabi ko sa mga kliyente ko, huwag kayo dyan umorder kasi wala namang mga resibo. Lazada, ganun. Ganun din, napapalagay sa pangalan ng company, yung mga in-order?
Actually, ma'am, makasingit po, ma'am Bisora.
Yeah, thank you.
Ang actually, ang sinasabi ko sa taxpayer, do not buy. Oh my God, patawarin ako.
Do not buy sa Lazada.
Sorry, no? Kaya lang kasi, talagang andyan na yung trending na ang binibila na nga ay si Shopee. Pero ang tanong ko kasi, nasa ng VAT? Pinapasap kasi doon sa supplier ng Shopee. Kung may supplier, ganun po yun. Kaya ang tanong po natin, paano nyo po ba namomonitor yung online sales na may POS, kahit na wala silang POS, pero ginagamit nila sa
or
delivery receipts.
Kasi ang kawawa palagi
buyer.
Tapos ang higpit kasi na-audit na kami ni BIR, nagpapabukas kami. Ang higpit-higpit ni BIR na talagang kahit maliit, hanggang petty cash fund, pag walang makita at malinis, na yung resibo nakapangalan sa kumpanya, may PIN number, at may address. Okay. Eh, napaka-online na natin eh. Paano ba i-regulate ni BIR yung ganun? Napaka-strict.
Actually,
diba? Dapat.
po ako. Pwede po akong bumatin na. Pwede na akong bumatin, ma'am. Kasi actually po, meron po kasi kaming mga task force sa online sellers. Kaya lang po kinakalap lang po namin yung details. Kasi since nag-boom nga po sila ng pandemic na ito. So, lahat po ng online sellers, i-check po natin yung registration. Kasi ang pinaka magagawa po kasi namin to monitor is kung registered po sila sa PIR.
Pero for example,
Kung hindi po kasi ma'am, naghihintay po kasi kami ng kung sino yung covered lang namin, ng jurisdiction po namin. Kasi halimbawa, Lazada. Lazada kasi hindi naman namin covered dito. Yung suppliers lang nila, yung pwede namin matrace, di ba ma'am? Kasi syempre, meron kayong jurisdiction na pwedeng gawin po kung alin lang po yung jurisdictional sa atin. Kagaya po ng issue ni Mega World, ayaw naman po namin mangyari sa amin video kasi jurisdiction po ang issue doon. Diga po.
O di galing na galing na sa inyo ma'am, supplier po pala ng Shopee at ng Lazada ang magiging, meron kasi kung kliyente, supplier siya ng Shopee. Supplier siya ng Lazada.
Hindi ako familiar ha, hindi kasi ako nagsa-Shopee ma'am kasi nakaka-addict daw yon. So pero di ba ma'am, parang ipinubok lang siya kay Lazada pero ang supplier siya. Correct. Platform lang nung Lazada yung ginagamit nila or the Shopee.
Yes.
Pero meron ang gagalingan na supplier.
Supplier. Oo.
Iba-ibang supplier.
I-clear ko lang yung jurisdiction. I-clear ko lang. So, kasi nasa large taxpayer yung Lazada example. That's why. Hindi nyo jurisdiction yung tinatanungan namin na BIR ng RDO ngayon?
I believe ma'am, hindi po namin covered ang Lazada ma'am.
Sige.
Kasi kung covered namin yan, sure na sure ako ma'am na na-LA na namin yan. Sure ako ma'am.
Hindi tayo makaka-share ng ano. Sige. Kasi kumbaga, anong ginagawang protection sa amin?
Yes.
Ni BIR. Kasi pinapayagan nila itong Lazada na so, sige, we understand hindi yung jurisdiction.
Ma'am, hindi lang si Lazada, pati si Shopee.
Ay. Mahirap magsalita ng marami.
Yes, ma'am. Ang ginagawa lang namin, ma'am, makalap natin kung sino yung mga suppliers na ito na online na kaya namin i-trace. And then we are requiring them to register at i-check din po namin kung ano po yung compliance nila. Actually po supposed to be meron tayong mission order sa kanila. Kaya lang po, nasuspend nga po ang ating mga enforcement activities, ma'am.
Okay.
Meron po tayong comment sa ating chat box na sinasabi po nila na may mga suppliers daw po na nag-i-issue ng OR and SI upon request naman po natin. So better yet siguro, we request din po kapag bumibili po tayo dito sa ating mga online transactions.
Madali sabihin nyo upon request eh. Thank you.
So that ends our question and answer. We'll have another 2 quiz B po, ma'am, before we proceed to our program. Continue with our program.
Yes po.
The last 2 quiz B, questions from BIR.
Yes po, last 2 po tayo, Miss P.
Question 4 po. Question 5.
Question number 5. The following are grounds for suspension on... wait lang pa. The following are grounds for suspension or temporary closure of business, except A, failure to issue receipts or invoices by a VAT registered or registrable taxpayer. Letter B, failure to file a value-added tax return. Letter C, failure to register. Letter D, understatement of taxable sales or receipts by 10% of the correct amount thereof in the case of a VAT registered or registrable taxpayer. Go.
Bibilis nilang sumagot. Wala pa yung go.
Answer for question number 5.
D.
Yes. Letter D. Hanapin lang po namin ang winner for question number 5.
Thank you po pala kay Ma'am Sinchat na Tanyada. Nag-chat po siya na idodonate daw po niya sa PICPA Laguna yung kanyang winnings. Thank you very much, Ma'am.
Thank you po. Thank you po.
Dito po.
Ay, correction po si pula, Cynthia, Ma'am Cynthia Tanda.
Dami lang po ang nagsagot. Medyo mahirap lang po hanapin.
Isa ba unang hanapin?
Opo, yung may go po. Nakita mo na, Bisa?
Ano letter?
D.
D. Rufa May Panaligan.
Congratulations to Miss Rufa May Panaligan. Next question na po tayo.
Last question po.
Question number 6. The taxpayer may be selected for stock taking if he falls under the following cases, except letter A, taxpayers with no VAT payable or with excess input tax over output tax in all the quarterly VAT returns during the taxable year. Letter B, taxpayers maintaining an ending inventory of 100% or more of its gross sales during the taxable year. Letter C, taxpayers who were apprehended for violations of certain internal revenue laws and regulations as a result of surveillance pursuant to RMO number 54-2000 or 3-2009. For letter D, understatement of sales or receipts by 20% of the correct amount thereof in the case of a VAT registered or registrable taxpayer. Go! Ayun, nakita na gusto. The correct answer for question number 6
Letter B.
Letter D.
D.
Congratulations to Sir Christian Lance. Christian Lance Morales.
Okay. So congratulations to all the winners of the BIR Quiz B. And last na po yan, question na. So we're proceeding na po sa program natin. And thank you also.
Po ba tayo ng tax quiz?
Po.
Or okay na po?
Yes po, okay na po ma'am kasi it's ready for. And ano na rin po, ano lang po ako, mag-share screen.
May shout out sa iyo.
Ma'am Grace, Ma'am Sophia, and Sir Junilon for the very lively discussion on Q&A and then sa ating po mga palaro po.
Bitin po ba kayo? Gusto niyo pa po ba? Meron pa kaming reserve na question pero just in case.
I don't know ma'am with our participants kasi 4 p.m. na po. I don't know with the participants if they still want. Ano po?
Last na question na. Waiting lang po kami kay Cash. May kausap lang din po siya. Isang question pa po tayo. Okay lang po? Isang question na lang po.
Okay lang.
Hi Sir Christian. Pasend po ako ng number mo sa akin ha. Nag-message po ako ng number ko para i-text po ako ng mga nanalo ha. Ito po yung number ko. Ilalagay ko po sa chat box para po makaklaim po sila ng prize. Pa-text po ako.
Pandora, may message ako sa iyo.
Ayan po ang number ko. Textan nyo lang po ako to claim your prize. Last question na po tayo.
Yes,
Sir Joni, question number 7 tayo. Last na po. Ma'am Doray, last na po.
Akin po ma'am. Go po.
Question number 7. The closure order shall only be lifted if the violations as stated in the filing by compliance notice is certified by the taxpayer. Letter A, complying with the registration requirements in sections 236 and 238 of the tax code. Letter B, complying with the invoicing requirements as set forth in sections 113 and 237 in case of failure to issue receipts or invoices. Letter C, filing of VAT returns which have not been filed and paying the amount of taxes due thereon. Letter D, amending previously filed VAT returns to reflect the correct taxable sales or receipts which were previously understated due to the failure to issue sales invoices or receipts or due to under declaration of sales or receipts. or letter E, all of the above? Go.
E. Yeah.
The winner for question number 7 is Miss Ana Nicole Domingo. Congratulations.
Congratulations! The answer is E. Ayun. Okay, thank you very much. So, at this point, please join me in presenting the certificate of appreciation to our resource speakers, and let me read the citation. Okay. Then, may palakpakan ko. Anyway, so Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, PICPA Laguna Chapter and Occidental Mindoro Chapter presents the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Jonilon S. Alijo for being the resource speaker on the topic Understanding Mission Orders for Surveillance, Sales Monitoring, and Stock Taking during the PICPA Laguna Chapter and Occidental Mindoro Chapter webinar given this 15th day of June 2022, signed Jeronima A. Lapos, President PICPA Laguna Chapter, Sandy G. Ossi, President-elect of Occidental Mindoro Chapter, and yours truly, Vice President for Professional Development, PICPA Laguna Chapter.
Maraming salamat po.
Yes, thank you. Welcome, sir. And the same certificate is being given to Ms. Grace N. Mangubat. Okay. Yan. So, so with pleasure, please may we call on the Chief of Assessment Section of RDO 57 West Laguna, Mr. Carlito B. Mariano, for his closing remarks.
Magandang hapon po ulit. So parang may kausap lang po kasi si Cass, may ka-meeting lang po siya. Since hindi na rin po natin maabala pa ang ating 213 participants na hindi po bumibitaw sa hapon na ito, i-close ko na rin po ang ating webinar sa hapon na ito.
Yes, Ma'am Grace.
Yes,
Ma'am
po.
Grace, ano lang muna request pala, quick photo op lang with everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Baka mahantay natin sa sir habang nagpo-photo op
Yes
tayo.
po. Ma'am Marian, can you take the picture?
Yes, ma'am. We would like to request everyone to turn on their cameras para po mag-picture tayo.
Ma'am Dora, ibigyan mo din ng certificate of appreciation si Bebe, yung nagbabasa ng sa quiz B.
Si Ma'am Sophia. Sino po yun, Ma'am? Ma'am Sophia?
Yeah, si Ma'am Sophia. Bigyan mo
Okay,
din siya.
okay. Okay po.
Okay, picture 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3.
Ngiti, Ma'am Dora.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Wait, baby.
Naka-share screen pala ako.
1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Ma'am Grace, tingin ko lang po sana yung yung full name ni Ma'am Sophia po for the certificate.
Sofia Traballo po.
Okay. Middle name, middle initial.
M.
Okay,
po. Sofia
M.
M. Traballo.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
N.
N.
Opo, sorry po, bingi.
Pareho pa kayo, Grace N. Mangubat, Grace
Yes, po.
Sofia N. Traballo. Okay
Yes
po.
po.
So, ano po? So, available na po ba si Sir Cass or
May
will-
kausap pa rin daw po siya. So, okay lang po ba na ako na rin?
Yes po, ma'am. With
Para po
pleasure.
magsawa po talaga ang ating mga 214 participants sa aking pagmumukha. In behalf po of RDO 57 Binyan, in behalf po of RDO Mike Morada and RDO Emily Singson and Cass Carlito Mariano, maraming salamat po sa pag-attend nyo sa ating webinar sa hapong ito. Mag-expect po kami na by next week po sa same time, same channel po tayo, Wednesday po. Meron po tayo again free webinar in cooperation po sa PICPA Laguna Chapter at ito naman po regarding sa 1900 forms. Maraming salamat po palagi sa ating PICPA officers, at sa board of directors po nila dahil lagi po nilang sinusuportahan ang mga projects namin dito sa BIR. At muli po, nag-a-appeal po ako sa ating mga taxpayers para po mag-remit na po ng taxes ngayong month ng June kasi suspended po ang aming audit at enforcement activities. Umaasa po kami sa inyo since napakalaki po ng nakaatang na goal sa atin dahil po napakalaki ng goal namin dahil sa nangyaring pandemic. At dahil po dyan, nagpapasalamat na po kami in advance. Maraming salamat po mula po sa RDO 57 West Laguna. Thank you po. Salamat po Ma'am Mimi. Salamat po Ma'am Doray. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Grace and everyone. So,
Salamat po kay Occidental.
regards po sa lahat ng taga-RDO 57. Anyway, on behalf of PICPA, Laguna, and Occidental Mindoro chapters, we thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. As we wrap up this event, please listen to some final reminders on the few important tasks that you need to accomplish before leaving the webinar room. To all the participants, please make sure to complete the Zoom evaluation, which will be flashed on your screen. And also you need to complete the Google Form survey by clicking button number 4 at the centralized portal. You can click the link which will be posted on the chat box to connect you to or direct you to the centralized portal. And you should accomplish the survey evaluation or the Google form within 30 minutes after the close of this webinar. Remember, no evaluations, no certificate. You can then verify the submission of your Google evaluation by clicking button number 3 at the number 5 pala, at the centralized portal. Ba't ayaw mag-click? Anyway, at the centralized portal, hindi pala po ako naka-share screen. Ano po? Okay. At button number 5 at the centralized portal. Or you may also check your email for the acknowledgement of your submission. This will also be a way for us to check if your email address for our records is correct. But ayaw siya mag-move. Button number 5, ayun, no evaluation, no certificate. Okay, you can please verify within 30 minutes after or up until 4:30 or 5 maybe for the submission. In final, again, thank you everyone for participating in this webinar and your never-ending support to our chapter. This is your moderator now signing off. It has been a pleasure to serve you this afternoon.